What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Elevator Life. In today's episode, we discuss the #1 reason we see people fail in China. Enjoy. We recently wrote a guest post entitled "The Biggest Mistake People Make When They Come to China" for our friend Shlomo on his blog at startupnoodle.com. And that got our audience asking, okay, we know the biggest mistake we shouldn't make, but can you still tell us why people fail when they come to China? And there's no easy way to put it. China's a very difficult place to do business. There are a lot of horror stories dealing with China or with the Chinese, and it's downright not an easy place to find success. But we got to talking, and we really just boiled it down to the #1 reason people fail in China is because they're not willing to adapt to how the Chinese do business. And this is true for all international business. You have to learn how their culture works and how their business culture works. But China's in a league of its own. It's unlike anywhere in the planet. And whether these are small, subtle differences from introductions, to handing out your business card a certain way, to the huge 180-degree differences where the majority of the business doesn't happen during operating hours, the standard 9 to 5. Your main contracts and your negotiations are happening at 9 p.m. at a hot pot restaurant, or 10 p.m. with some whiskey at a KTV. I mean, again, China has this way of operating that's very much unique to its own culture, and that's really hard for a lot of people to adjust to. And when people first come to China, we've seen it a lot. They think they can maybe change the way the Chinese, approach a situation or think about a new business model, if you will. But at the end of the day, the Chinese, they have their culture embedded in them, their business culture, and they operate a certain way. And when people come to China and try to force their culture, their way of doing business onto the Chinese, that gets them nowhere. That will never get you anywhere trying to do business in your home country in someone else's. That simply won't work. And China plays by its own rules, and if you're not willing to play by their rules, then you have to get out of the game. It's that simple. And sometimes, how things operate in China, it's still a developing country. The way they do things may seem illogical or inefficient or a little bit messy, but it's up to you as the business owner to account for and adjust your business plan or your operations for these speed bumps. What we like to call them is things that are going to happen, that will come up somewhere in your process, and you just have to account and adjust for them. For example, with manufacturing, let's say. Manufacturers and factories, they very rarely will hit the lead time they say they can. They tell you, your mold will be ready in 2 weeks. Odds are you're going to need 3 or 4 weeks, realistically. So don't quote your customer, 2 weeks, we're done, I'll have the mold in your hand. Because you'll learn very quickly that punctuality is a trait missing here in China. Same goes, let's go with importing. Chinese customs are very, very strict. We've been told, standard process is 4 to 8 weeks. 12 weeks rolls around, 13 weeks, 14 weeks, and you still don't have your products in China. Again, it's up to their discretion, and they kind of do it at their own pace. And that's something that you have to account for is just learning how they operate here in China and adjusting your game plan and your strategy to make sure that, it fits with the way things truly happen here and at the speed at which they happen. Because it's all about making sure, your game plan is ready to go and you're able to work with the Chinese as efficiently as possible, knowing that these speed bumps will inevitably come up. So remember, the point of this episode is you have to be willing to adjust and play by the rules that the Chinese use. And, you're in their country, and you have to make sure that you respect how they do things here, and You're going to be in uncomfortable situations sometimes. You're going to be in situations that make you scratch your head. But at the end of the day, excuse me, that's how they do things here, and you have to be ready to play. So, hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you learned something, and have a great day. We hope you learned something today. As always, if you know someone who could benefit from this information, please make sure you share it with them. If you're curious about doing business in China, please go over to enterchina.co and download our free ebook to see if doing business in China is right for you. Have a great day.